You mentioned the apology from Nick Saban. Let's hear what he had to say after it all hit the fan yesterday and Jimbo Fisher said what he said. Here's Saban backtracking a little bit and further explaining his remarks.
I should have never really singled anybody out. That was a mistake, and I really apologize for that part of it. But I'm not against name, image, and likeness. I think it's a great thing for players. Our players made a lot of money last year in name, image, and likeness. But, I told our players to, get an agent, get representation, make what you can make. Players have always been able to work, and I think that's a good thing. I think, the issue in college athletics in general now is, the whole system of collectives and people raising money to, basically pay players to come, whether it's to come to their school or, pay the players that are on their team. We've always strived in college athletics to make everything equal, make everything the same, whether it's scholarships, whether it's Alston money, whether it's, cost of attendance, academic support, whatever it is. And, now it's not really that way. And this has happened in basketball. It's happened in football. So, I really didn't mean to single anybody out. I apologize for that. But, it's the whole system. And is this a sustainable system?
And I get what he's saying. Here's the problem, Peter. Here's the fundamental problem. Because I've seen some of it going on here in West Virginia. How much of the endorsements being given to the athletes are real and genuine and authentic? Hey, this is a great player, and we want to pay him to endorse this product or that product, the way we see it for professional athletes. How much of it is organic and authentic and natural endorsement deals, and how much of it is just a clumsy, flimsy front for funneling cash to the kid from boosters? And if you cut the boosters out of the equation, if you take away these collectives that they're putting together, and they have one in Morgantown where they pool the money and they pay the players that way. If you cut that out, they'll still find a way to do it. And it'll happen under the ruse of, the local car dealership that never had any endorsers of any kind, all of a sudden has, 5 kids from the local college that are getting a crap load of money. And, of course, that's just a front for funneling booster money to the players. So maybe that's why Congress hasn't touched it. They don't know what the hell to do. Nobody knows what the hell to do. And Saban can huff and puff all he wants, but I don't know that there's a house out there to be blown down the right way.
I don't know what the solution is. It would really help. I mean, the thing that would help the most is something that right now is impossible, and that is a strong NCAA that member institutions really respect. I mean, there's not a lot of respect for the NCAA right now. And so that becomes a bigger problem. How are you going to get however many schools there are in Division 1A, whatever that is called, FBS, whatever it is. How are you going to get all those people to agree on something involving name, image, and likeness? And if you do get them to all agree, you can be absolutely sure, Mike Florio, Mr. Lawyer, you can be absolutely sure that someone is going to be on the courthouse steps the next morning trying to
antitrust violation. It's an antitrust violation.
Tear asunder this thing, yeah. And so that's why this is, I don't want to say it's an impossible situation, but it's going to be really, really hard to get a lasso around, I think, not only for the schools and the coaches that are trying to get a hold of this, but for the entire NCAA. The NCAA, in essence, when NIL started, basically seeded the fact that this was going to be a Wild West, and a wild, wild West in college sports for a long time to come.
Let me say one last thing about this. And this is a fundamental truth in the country in which we reside. And maybe this is why Congress won't touch it. Think about what they want Congress to do. They want Congress to craft a law that limits the ability of one American citizen to freely choose to give money to another American citizen. A taxable transaction. Why would the federal government not want a taxable transaction? Why would we have any issue with people who are of legal age, 18 years old enough to go fight and die for the country on foreign soil, old enough to vote? And it doesn't even matter if you're old enough to do those things. There are plenty of people under the age of 18 who make money, who get paid for whatever skills they have or for whatever reason somebody wants to pay them. Why would Congress do anything to restrict the free flow of money between consenting individuals when you're talking about legal activities? There's no illegal activity here. So if a booster wants to pay money to a college football player and what the booster gets in return isn't great value, well, so what? Why should we care? Why should we care about that? So that's really the core here. We are asking, college football is asking and hoping that Congress will come in and give it some sort of a Hail Mary out of this mess, when what college football wants Congress to do, Peter, is something that is inherently un-American, restricting the ability of people to give money to other people for any reason they choose to do so.
You get no argument from me. That's why this is going to be so hard to police, and it's going to be so hard to get it right. And I guess here's my last word on this. You know, I do think that the original meaning of the NIL in the eyes of many people in college sports was admirable. And that is, if you've got 100 people on your football team and you have sponsors, advertisers, whatever, willing to give a total of, $5 million to sprinkle among, all of the players, then divide 5 million by 100 and give every player on the team an equal share. And I think that is what, at first I thought that is where this was going to be headed. The NIL was not going to necessarily go to single individual players. It was going to go to a team that alumnus X absolutely loved. So all these kids who can't afford to buy a pizza on campus on Saturday night, okay, let's give them, $5,000 a year or whatever the number is, okay? Let's give the basketball players something. Let's even give the non-revenue athletes something. Let's be fair to everyone who is on scholarship playing sports at a university. And that obviously was never what was going to happen. But to me, that is the smartest way to do this. It's never going to happen. But I think for all players to be able to get even a tiny piece of the puzzle, instead of one guy getting $500,000 and his backup getting 10 cents. It just, I don't know. I understand that the American way is go make whatever you want, make as much as you want and all that stuff. But there's something about team sports that makes that a little bit, I don't want to say, and I realize I'm being Pollyanna here, but I wish that there would be some sort of thought about the common good that there really isn't.
But here's the fundamental problem. As college football has grown and grown, and college basketball has grown and grown and grown, the people who are responsible for the sport have found a way to maximize the revenues, to maximize the money, whether it's through TV deals, whether it's through ticket sales, whether it's through the money that they get from the donors and the boosters directly to the programs. These programs are flush with cash, billion-dollar business. That part of it makes it basically professional sports from the standpoint of the revenue creation by the various programs. The way they've dealt with the players historically, it's still amateur. That's the great firewall that prevents you from having to give the money to the players, so you can use that money for anything else you want, including exorbitant salaries for the coaches, the athletic directors, and others involved in that apparatus. Nobody wants to get their ox gored. That's what this all comes down to. That's why they've resisted paying the players. So, Peter, you know what the solution would be? The solution is very simple. It's very simple. They aren't going to like it, and they're not going to do it. You let the players unionize nationally, and you no longer have antitrust violations when you have a multi-employer bargaining unit. The NFL doesn't have to worry about antitrust violations from players as long as there is a union that covers all of them. And you negotiate with that union, and you figure out fair compensation, and you have a salary cap. Now, the problem still remains the boost. The boosters are the weirdest part of this, because think about it. Is there ever talk about professional sports teams having these fat cat rich people who got nothing better to do with their money, so they're funneling it into the pockets of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady? No. Isn't it odd? Isn't it odd that I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an access thing or you want to feel like a big shot. I don't get it. And this is somebody who...
Because they don't need it. They don't need it. It's because there's $250 million given to every team every year from these media deals, from TV, the internet, all that. And so it's become, okay, could Aaron Rodgers, instead of making $50 million, could he make $65 million? Yeah. But who's fighting for that? I don't know anybody who's ever said that's needed.
It would just be nice if the boosters, the college boosters, would get a life, frankly. Like, why do you feel like you have to get involved and try to tip the scales? I mean, really, go do something else with your money. Give it to a real charity. Don't give it to this football program so you can feel this indirect pride that you're in some way responsible for helping put the program over the top, that you got all this money and you're going to give it to the school, and it's really not going to the school, it's going to the football program, so the football program's better, so you can kind of be a big shot and you can go stand on the sidelines and maybe you'll be in the TV shot when the camera pans by the coach. I mean, grow up. Like, do something better with your money. There are much more worthy causes than this ultra-rich football coach and the program he presides over. Let the money naturally flow in through ticket sales and through media deals like it does with NFL football. I just think it's so odd that this booster concept only applies to college sports and not to professional sports. And maybe the more we tear down the wall and let everyone know it really is professional, maybe the boosters will start looking around saying, why the hell do they need our money?
Speak the truth. But, to me, in one place, it was really necessary. In college sports, it was necessary to get some money to the players, the people who basically are earning the money. In pro sports, it's just really not necessary. That's why there has never been a push for it.
So let's just call college sports what they are. They're pro sports, and maybe the problem solves itself because the boosters come out from under the spell of the likes of Nick Saban and say, I think you're doing fine without my money. I'm going to go buy myself a new car or a second house or whatever. No more freebies for you. You're doing fine without my assistance.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.